Well, good evening, everyone. How are you doing? Thanks for being here. I know it's a long day, and so I commend all of you for being here for the very last presentation of day one. And as my gratitude to all of you, I'd be glad to buy you a beer right after this. So excellent. So we'll get started, and so we'll talk a little bit about who we are and what we do. And so you might have heard of us as Versiti Blood Center. And so maybe the question comes up: why is a blood center here at the Cell and Gene conference here at meeting on the Mesa? And so the first thing that I would share with you is that blood, I think, is the original cell therapy, right? And so there's a lot of capabilities around blood collection, recruitment, quality, production, infectious disease testing, etc., that translates over into cell therapies, and that's one of the reasons why we're here. In the last 5 years, we've made several acquisitions in the clinical trial space, which I'll talk a little bit more about. And also, we have a clinical diagnostic lab where we do esoteric testing in benign hematology, in transplantation, in transfusion medicine, and I think those capabilities translate over into supporting clinical trials in cell and gene therapy as well. And so we really think that when you put these three sets of capabilities together, we're in a position that we can help advance the progress of new therapies in this exciting space. So tell you a little bit more about our clinical trials organization, and I think this diagram here kind of helps bring it all to life. And one of the acquisitions we made was in 2019 of an organization called Senatron out of Austin, Texas. And Senatron is a central lab that does kitting, logistics, and sample management, data management. And we really see that as the hub of our clinical trial services that helps manage all these other things as far as, samples and information coming in from various sites. It also helps coordinate with SALUS, which was part of that acquisition. And SALUS is an institutional review board, so helping with protocol development, approval, and getting things going from that standpoint. And just a couple of months ago, we also acquired an organization by the name of Quantigen out of Fishers, Indiana. And Quantigen is related, their expertise is around assay development, around biomarker development and validation, so they work pretty upstream in the process. And so that capability, we feel like, fits in really well with our overall offering. And then obviously with our expertise in Versiti as far as esoteric diagnostic testing, this kind of all comes together and creates a little bit of an ecosystem. And while it's not complete, it helps in minimizing the number of vendors that you might have to work with, number of clinical trials, CROs that you'd have to work with, and helps kind of streamline things a little bit. And we're continuing to look at what other acquisitions do we want to make in this space that would help continue to complete the offering that we have here. All right, so maybe taking a different look at the capabilities here, and if we were to lay this out across the continuum of clinical trials, and if you want to look at kind of the left side of the slide, some of the work that we do around basic and translational research services can get you started in the discovery and preclinical phase. We also provide a lot of biomaterials, and this is where our capabilities as a blood center is something that can be of value and service to those who are looking to do clinical trials in the space. So if you're looking for starting materials, biomaterials like buffy coats, leukapheresis chambers, expired blood products as something to start with in your preclinical phase, that's a service that we can provide. Also, research use only leukopaks, so peripheral blood mononuclear cells, that's something that we can provide as well. And then we also have GTP leukopaks that we can provide as you continue moving through the clinical trials process and continuum down along. We talked a little bit about protocol review, the IRB capabilities that we have. That I think kind of rounds the picture out here well also. And then all the capabilities that we have around site management, kitting, logistics, shipping, all those things kind of fit in together. So just another view of kind of how these capabilities come together. What I'd like to spend some time on today is going through two case studies So two real-world examples about how we've used these capabilities to partner with our clients and to help them, solve real-world situations. And as with any clinical trial, if you've seen one, right? They're all unique, they're all different, and that's where we really pride ourselves in looking at how can we be nimble, how can we come up with unique solutions, because when you solved one problem, you only solved one problem. And so continuing to look at how we can really listen and understand what the needs are and how can we provide a solution that can fit the needs in that particular situation. So we'll keep moving here. The first case study is about an immunotherapy organization, and the way it started was that they reached out to us. They were looking for some HLA typing, and that was through our Versiti esoteric diagnostic labs. And so we started talking to them about what other needs do they have, what else might be, what are the other problems you're trying to solve, what gaps do you have in the partners that you're working with. And what was clearly apparent as we started the discussion with them is that not only were they looking for HLA typing with custom reporting, which we were able to provide, but there were also a need for kitting and logistics. They were looking for project and data management and storage of these samples and additional testing that they had identified in their protocol. And so with our capabilities, with Senatron as being a central hub, we were able to meet those needs. And again, this is one way to streamline kind of your outsourcing and the less number of players you work with, we then manage that complexity on our side so that it makes things simple and easy from a clinical trial management perspective. And so in summary, in this case, based on the customization that we were able to provide, the solution included HLA typing with custom reporting. It also included kitting and biologistics and biostorage services. And so, we're continuing to look at how to be flexible and nimble so that we're meeting the needs of that particular clinical trial. So we'll get into our second example, and this example talks a little bit about starting materials for manufacturing. So we had a client that approached us to talk about phase 1 clinical trial. They were looking to identify and maintain a unique donor pool, and we call our donors contributors just to distinguish them from blood donors, but that's really who we're talking about when we say contributors. And so they were looking to maintain a unique contributor pool eligible to support future manufacturing and commercialization. So I'll get a little bit into the details and the specifics here. So again, we took a consultative approach and said, okay, what's the situation? What are the needs that you're trying to address, and how can we help with that? And so we developed a custom project, and we put a cross-functional team together to truly understand, what their gaps are, and committed to project management, throughout the launch and maintain the phases of the project. And so, for contributor screening, they were looking for some very specific HLA typing, and so I'll pause here and kind of talk a little bit more about this because this is important. So with our capabilities around Leukopak, we actually have a contributor base that we pre-screen for a variety of different things. So we do infectious disease testing, but we also do HLA type testing on all our contributors. And the reason why we do that is so that if there's ever a need that, we have a clinical trial with a client that's doing a clinical trial and they're looking for certain HLA types, we already have them pre-screened, and we could easily look up and say, okay, if you're looking for, this particular profile out of our, X number of contributors that we have, 10, 12, 15 donors that meet that criteria. And so I think, I think somebody talked about this earlier in this room, is that time is your enemy. And so how do we get ahead, and how do we identify these capabilities so when you have a need, we can respond quickly, and you have a contributor that's already characterized and ready to go with the type of HLA type that you're looking for. So In this case, we also created a protected contributor recallability. And so what we mean by that is that they needed a very specific type of HLA type. And we said that with these donors, we will save them for you. Because here's the thing, if you have a contributor that donates a leukopak, then they cannot do it for X number of weeks afterwards. So if we had those contributors donate a leukopak for someone else, they wouldn't be eligible when you need them. So we not only screen them, but we can compartmentalize and put them on recall for you if that's what you need. And so, in this case, we were able to not only set them aside, but we did some expanded infectious disease testing for them. We also aligned and set up for GTP collections in the future and got that schedule in place, created customized labeling, C of A, logistics process, and all of that. So I think this kind of shows that, the capabilities that we have built over the decades as a blood provider, when you combine that with the clinical trials acquisitions that we've made, we are in a position to help. We're in a position to help accelerate the advancement of all these clinical trials that are going on in this space right now. And so here's a little bit of a summary. In this particular case, here's some of the specifics at the bottom, that to date we had identified 39 contributors that met the HLA type need of this customer, of this client, and of them we screened 36, and that led to identifying about 6 or 7 that were of very high interest, with specifically 4 being called by the client as super contributors that really met all the specific needs that they had. And so that's something that we were pretty excited about, but hopefully those 2 case studies kind of bring to light how we're trying to be nimble and flexible to meet the needs of the cell and gene therapy space, and how we can support clinical trials. So I thank you for your time, and we'll be around here if there's any other questions, and come see me if you want to get that beer, okay? Thank you.